Okay everyone, here we are. I'm working on taking out the factory turbo to replace it with an FP red. I already have the radiator out of it. I did a previous video on how to remove and replace the radiator. So that has to come out in order to do this. So feel free to watch that video on how to remove the radiator, and that will get you caught up to where I'm at this point right here. What needs to happen next is you got to disconnect the coolant hose here that goes to the turbo. There's also a coolant hose right here that goes to the turbo. So you just got to remove these clamps here, pull the hoses off. This one's going to have some coolant left in it still. Get off there. There's the coolant coming out. And let's try to get something up underneath there to catch that coolant dripping. Ooh, messy. I've already got some of these bolts broken loose. However, I got one broken stud. So once this manifold comes off, I'm going to have to fix this. Maybe need some heat, whatnot, to get that broken stud out. I have to replace one stud at minimum. What I'm going to also have to do next is I got my oil feed line here to the turbo. I'm just going to disconnect it right down here at this point right here, so I don't have to fight with all these fittings up here and how tight and cramped it is. Also, I have to remove the bolts. See if I can get some light on here. I have to remove this bolt here that goes to the downpipe, and of course that one right there that goes to the downpipe, and then that will pull off. That will separate the lower exhaust from the turbo housing itself. You're going to have to remove this silicone adapter from the J-pipe on the turbo, and I'm also going to have to remove the wastegate line that was going to the boost controller, so that's going to have to come off too. So let's go ahead and get those parts removed. Now have the downpipe bolts off of the turbo. So that one there and that one there. Instead of unscrewing the O2 sensor, I just disconnected it from the harness up here. So there that is. And now I think all I have to do is just remove these remaining nuts here, and I believe it's ready to come out. So let's try it. I believe these are the factory nuts. These here are a 13 millimeter. The ones on the end are a 14 millimeter. You have a 14 millimeter here. You have a 14 millimeter here. The rest of them should be 13. This one here in the middle ended up being a 12 millimeter. All but one of them are now out. I just have this one left to do. So let's get this one off. And the washer, they're all out. This is going to be quite heavy. If you have ever worn a pink pussy hat before, you may want to go get your grandma to help you out. Let's get it off. And there you have it. It's out. I figured it'd just be a lot easier to remove the whole assembly. That way it's easier to get the coolant lines on and off of the new turbo. You know, the coolant line here. Easier to remove the oil return drain pipe. to the pan and all the fittings up here too. Figured with it all out, it'd be just easier to do it, as well as these bolts here. So if you remember watching a previous video, me trying to remove all of these bolts was a pain in the ass. So taking these out, the whole thing out, will make it easier to get to those bolts. Okay guys, that's it for now. I'm going to get started on putting the new manifold and turbo together, and I'll have video of that when it's ready to go. Thank you.